Hello, my name is Gabriela Noriga, and this is my presentation for my paper. The topic I chose to talk about was healthcare access in America. In my paper and in my research, I talked and wrote a lot about healthcare access and how it's not being met to many people, many Americans, especially in those in rural communities. And I also talked about insurances denying their claims to cover people's medical issues and also their healthcare access. And while doing my research, I also mostly used Texas Tribune and Washington Post for most of my research and some of the books from Gale from the Dallas College database. I chose this topic personally because, in my political opinion and moral opinion, that good healthcare access shouldn't be a luxury, it should be a necessity. And also, during the beginning of the semester, I had a personal experience happen to me that made me question our healthcare system and also be very scared of it. My parent was in a work accident, and after finding out that he would be alright, I started worrying about surgery, medication, and also therapy cost. And also with the social impact news of the death and assassination of Brian Thompson, the American healthcare CEO, also made me question about more about our healthcare system. And after hearing people's debates and stories, I researched more about it and wanted to choose this interesting topic. In my in my paper, I argued that we need a rechange and more policy changes to help our healthcare system. And also, I argued about how the healthcare industry only focus on profit rather than patient care, which is very depressing and sad. And also, I argued how there needs to be more settlement and more resonance in the urban communities, in rural communities, since we can access less healthcare than in major cities. For example, there's something called a drought effect that I will explain later, but there's a drought effect in maternity deserts that happen to a lot of rural areas. And I mostly learned about that from Texas Tribune, and it told me a lot about like major areas around Lubbock. I argued for a policy reform because we truly do need it. And also, with this policy reform, we could possibly have less payments on our medication and also our yearly visits to the doctor that some people might not even get to receive because of how high healthcare access is. My research on this topic shows that there's reports of 20% of Americans are being burdened by medical debts. And there is about half of rural communities that face maternity deserts. And they even showed in this one article I talked about. For example, whenever I say maternity deserts and um, um, drought effects, for example, in a big city like Lubbock, the rural areas around that has a deplete system of healthcare access, and many elderly people live in those areas and often cannot drive themselves to have proper healthcare, especially at their elderly age, not only for their medication but also for their daily patient checkups. They cannot access that because all that resources is only being put into major cities. And for maternity deserts, it means that individuals who are pregnant cannot receive proper antibiotics or ultrasounds or um, baby food because they don't have access for it, or it's too far away from the rural town to even gain access to. And in my research shows that good healthcare access isn't just a dream, it's a possibility that can happen. With other countries like Canada and also the UK practicing good and affordable healthcare, that means that we in the US can have it. We just need to have the right policies and politicians enforcing it. The reason why I chose this topic and also why should it matter to my peers is that it can happen anywhere and anytime. You or your family member are going to need medical access. And there's going to be a time where insurances will deny you. They will turn your back away from you, even though whenever you need it most. And personally, whenever it happens to your parent, it's very scary. And healthcare access can lead to other possibilities, not only with food resources and housing stability. If we focus on that, it can also lead to a positive impact to other areas. But also, everyone's going to need proper healthcare, not only in medication, therapy, and checkups. Healthcare is a true necessity that we need. I truly loved researching and writing about this topic. Thank you.